The discovery. The deep blue waters off the coast of Australia held many secrets, but Dr. Amelia Chen never imagined she'd uncover one that would change the course of human history. As her diving suit cut through the murky depths, Amelia's heart raced with anticipation. This was supposed to be a routine expedition to study coral reef degradation, but something felt different today. Amelia's comm unit crackled to life. "How's it looking down there, Doc?" It was Captain Jake Thompson, her longtime friend and captain of the research vessel Curiosity. "All clear so far, Jake," Amelia replied, her voice echoing in her helmet. "But there's something odd about the seafloor topography. I'm going to investigate further." As Amelia swam closer to the anomaly, her suit's lights illuminated something that made her gasp. A massive, smooth structure jutted out from the ocean floor, its surface gleaming with an otherworldly sheen. It was like nothing she'd ever seen before. No barnacles, no signs of erosion, just a perfectly preserved something. "Jake, are you seeing this?" Amelia's voice trembled with excitement. "Holy, what is that thing?" Jake's usually calm demeanor cracked with awe. Amelia's scientific mind raced through possibilities. A sunken ship, an undiscovered geological formation. But as she circled the object, its true nature became undeniable. The sleek lines, the impossibly smooth surface, the complete lack of any recognizable human design elements. This was no earthly vessel. "Jake, I think we've just discovered an alien spacecraft." The words hung in the water, heavy with implications. For a moment, there was only silence, broken by the soft hum of Amelia's equipment. "Amelia," Jake's voice was low and serious. "Are you absolutely sure?" She ran her gloved hand along the craft's surface, feeling no seams, no rivets, nothing that indicated human construction. "As sure as I can be. We need to alert the authorities. This changes everything." As Amelia continued her examination, a soft blue glow emanated from what appeared to be a window. Her heart leaked into her throat. Was something inside still active after who knows how long underwater? "Jake, I'm seeing some kind of energy signature. We need to set up a perimeter and get a full research team down here ASAP." "Roger that, Doc. I'm making the calls now. Sit tight and don't touch anything else." But Amelia couldn't resist. Her curiosity, the very thing that had driven her to become a scientist, urged her forward. As she peered into the glowing window, a series of symbols flashed across its surface. They were unlike any language she'd ever seen, complex and beautiful. Suddenly, the ship hummed to life. Amelia jerked back, her heart pounding. A seam appeared in the smooth hull, widening into an entrance. Water rushed in, but instead of flooding the craft, it seemed to be absorbed, leaving a dry passage. "Jake, the ship, it's opening up. Amelia, get out of there now. We don't know if it's safe." But Amelia hesitated. This was the discovery of a lifetime, of many lifetimes. The chance to be the first human to step inside an alien vessel. She knew the risks, but the potential knowledge to be gained was immeasurable. "I'm going in, Jake. Keep the line open." "Amelia, no. Wait for backup." Ignoring Jake's protests, Amelia entered the ship. As soon as she crossed the threshold, her suit's systems went haywire. The readings on her HUD fluctuated wildly before stabilizing. The interior was bathed in a soft, pulsating light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Jake, can you hear me?" Static was her only answer. She was on her own. The corridor she found herself in curved gently, leading deeper into the ship. The walls were covered in the same intricate symbols she'd seen on the window. As she walked, they seemed to shift and change, as if alive. Amelia's scientific training warred with her awe. She forced herself to document everything, taking samples where she could and capturing video with her suit's camera. The air inside the ship was breathable, somehow fresh, despite being sealed for who knows how long. As she ventured further, Amelia came upon what could only be the bridge. a large, circular room filled with consoles and screens, all dark and silent. In the center stood a raised platform with a single ornate chair. Amelia approached the chair cautiously. As she neared, the consoles around her flickered to life, displaying more of the alien script. The chair itself began to glow, pulsing in rhythm with the light suffusing the ship. She knew she shouldn't, knew it violated every protocol and safety measure, but the urge was irresistible. Amelia sat in the chair. Instantly, her mind exploded with information. Images, sounds, and sensations flooded her consciousness. She saw distant worlds, strange creatures, and incomprehensible technologies. But more than that, she felt the purpose of the ship, its mission. It was a sentinel, a watcher placed here eons ago to observe humanity's development. And now it had deemed Earth ready for first contact. As quickly as it began, the flood of information ceased. Amelia slumped in the chair, gasping. Her mind reeled, trying to process what she'd experienced. She now knew why the ship had revealed itself, and the message it carried was both thrilling and terrifying. With shaking hands, Amelia activated her comm unit. To her relief, it crackled to life. "Jake, Jake, can you hear me?" "Amelia, thank God. We've been trying to reach you for hours. What happened? Are you okay?" "Hours?" It had felt like mere minutes. "I'm fine, Jake. But you need to listen carefully. This ship, it's not just a derelict. It's active, and it has a message for humanity." "A message? What are you talking about?" Amelia took a deep breath, steadying herself. "We're not alone, Jake, and we're about to meet our cosmic neighbors." As Amelia made her way back to the ship's entrance, her mind raced with the implications of what she'd learned. The aliens, the Valorians, as they called themselves, were coming, not to conquer or destroy, but to evaluate. Earth was to be tested, to determine if humanity was ready to join a galactic community. Emerging from the alien craft, Amelia was greeted by a flurry of activity. The Curiosity was surrounded by naval vessels, and the waters teemed with divers and submersibles. News helicopters circled overhead, their spotlights cutting through the gathering dusk. As soon as Amelia's head broke the surface, she was hauled aboard the nearest ship. Medical personnel swarmed her, checking her vitals and peppering her with questions. But Amelia's focus was singular. "I need to speak to whoever's in charge," she insisted, brushing off the medics. Now, a stern-faced woman in a crisp naval uniform approached. "Dr. Chen, I'm Admiral Helena Reyes. I understand you've made quite the discovery." Amelia nodded, her expression grave. "Admiral, what I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but I assure you it's true. That ship down there, it's a sentinel left by an advanced alien civilization called the Valorians, and they're coming to Earth to test us." Admiral Rice's eyebrows shot up, but to her credit, she didn't dismiss Amelia outright. "Test us? For what purpose?" "To see if we're ready to join a larger galactic community." "Admiral, the things I saw in there, the technology, the knowledge, it's beyond anything we've ever dreamed of. But it comes with a price. We have to prove we're worthy." The Admiral was silent for a long moment, processing the information. Finally, she spoke. "Dr. Chen, I'm going to need you to come with me. The President needs to hear this directly." As they prepared to depart, Amelia caught sight of Jake on the Curiosity. Their eyes met, and she saw a mix of relief, concern, and pride in her friend's gaze. She managed a small smile and a nod. Whatever came next, she knew she could count on Jake's support. The next few days passed in a whirlwind of debriefings, medical examinations, and high-level meetings. Amelia found herself at the center of a global storm, her discovery shaking the foundations of human understanding. Governments argued, religious leaders pontificated, and the public alternated between excitement and fear. Through it all, Amelia stood firm, recounting her experience and the knowledge she'd gained. She emphasized the opportunity this represented, a chance for humanity to prove itself, to take its place among the stars. A week after the discovery, Amelia stood before the United Nations General Assembly, tasked with delivering the news to the world. As she looked out at the sea of faces representing every nation on Earth, she felt the weight of history on her shoulders. Distinguished delegates, citizens of Earth, she began, her voice strong and clear. We stand at a crossroads unlike any humanity has faced before. We are not alone in the universe, and we have been challenged to prove our worth. She detailed her experience, the message from the Valorians, and the test that was to come. The details of this test are unknown to us, but its importance cannot be overstated. How we respond in the coming days and weeks will determine humanity's place in the cosmos. As Amelia spoke, she could see the impact of her words. Fear, yes, but also determination, curiosity, and hope. This, she realized, was why the Valorians had chosen now to reveal themselves. Humanity, for all its flaws, had an indomitable spirit. We have an opportunity before us, Amelia continued, her passion evident in every word. To put aside our differences, to work together as one species, and to show the universe the best of what humanity has to offer. The road ahead will not be easy, but I know, that we are equal to the task. As she concluded her speech, the assembly hall erupted in applause. It was a moment of unity, of shared purpose that would be remembered for generations to come. But even as the world rallied around this new reality, questions remained. What form would the test take? How long did they have to prepare? And what would happen if they failed? As Amelia left the podium, she caught sight of a familiar face in the crowd. Jake had been invited to attend as a key witness to the discovery. He gave her a thumbs up, his expression a mix of pride and nervous excitement. Amelia allowed herself a small smile. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she was glad to have friends like Jake by her side. As she made her way through the throng of delegates and reporters, her mind was already racing, planning the next steps. The Valorians were coming and Earth needed to be ready. First contact. The weeks following Amelia's UN address were a blur of activity. The world's nations, for once united in purpose, poured resources into studying the alien vessel. A state-of-the-art research facility sprang up around the discovery site, transforming the once quiet stretch of Australian coast into a bustling hub of scientific inquiry. Amelia found herself at the center of it all, working tirelessly alongside a diverse team of the world's brightest minds. Engineers, linguists, physicists, and more, all focused on unlocking the secrets of the Valorian ship. Dr. Chen, we've made a breakthrough in decoding the alien language, announced Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the team's lead linguist. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she handed Amelia a tablet. It's not just a language. It's a complex system of mathematical and symbolic representations. We believe it's the key to interfacing with the ship's systems. Amelia studied the data, her mind racing. This is incredible work, Yuki. Have you tried inputting this into the ship's consoles? Before Yuki could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed, and panicked voices filled the air. What's happening? Amelia shouted over the din. Jake burst into the room, his face pale. The ship, it's powering up on its own. Amelia's heart raced as she sprinted towards the containment area housing the alien vessel. As she entered, she was met with a sight that took her breath away. The ship was awash in pulsating blue light, symbols racing across its hull. Everyone, stay back, she ordered, approaching the ship cautiously. This was the moment they'd been waiting for. But now that it was here, Amelia felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. As she neared the entrance, it opened just as it had on that first day. But this time, instead of water rushing in, a beam of light shot out, coalescing into a holographic figure. The beam before them was tall and slender, with iridescent skin and large almond-shaped eyes. Its form flickered and shifted, as if struggling to maintain a stable appearance. Greetings, humans, the figure spoke, its voice a melodious hum that seemed to bypass their ears and resonate directly in their minds. I am the custodian, the artificial intelligence tasked with safeguarding this vessel and facilitating first contact. Amelia stepped forward, her scientific training kicking in despite her awe. I'm Dr. Amelia Chen. On behalf of humanity, we welcome you. Can you tell us more about your purpose here? The custodian's form shimmered as it turned its attention to Amelia. Dr. Chen, your initial interaction with the ship's systems has been noted and approved. You have been designated as humanity's primary interface for this phase of contact. Amelia felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She nodded, signaling her acceptance of this role. The custodian continued. As you have surmised, this vessel was placed here eons ago by the Valorian Collective, a federation of advanced civilizations. Our purpose is to observe, and when deemed appropriate, initiate contact with developing species. And you've determined that now is the appropriate time for humanity? Amelia asked. Correct. Your species has reached a critical juncture in its development. The choices you make in the coming years will determine whether you ascend to join the galactic community or remain isolated on your world. The implications of the custodian's words hung heavy in the air. Humanity's future among the stars hinged on what happened next. You mentioned a test, Amelia pressed. What exactly does this test entail? The custodian's form flickered again, its expression unreadable. The nature of the test is not predetermined. It will be shaped by your actions and decisions in the face of the knowledge and challenges we present. Your responses will be evaluated to assess your species' readiness for advanced interstellar relations. Jake, who had been listening intently, stepped forward. And if we fail this test, what happens then? The being before them was tall and slender, with iridescent skin and large almond-shaped eyes. Its form flickered and shifted, as if struggling to maintain a stable appearance. Greetings, humans, the figure spoke, its voice a melodious hum that seemed to bypass their ears and resonate directly in their minds. I am the custodian, the artificial intelligence tasked with safeguarding this vessel and facilitating first contact. Amelia stepped forward, her scientific training kicking in despite her awe. I'm Dr. Amelia Chen. On behalf of humanity, we welcome you. Can you tell us more about your purpose here? The custodian's form shimmered as it turned its attention to Amelia. Dr. Chen, your initial interaction with the ship's systems has been noted and approved. You have been designated as humanity's primary interface for this phase of contact. Amelia felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She nodded, signaling her acceptance of this role. The custodian continued. As you have surmised, this vessel was placed here eons ago by the Valorian Collective, a federation of advanced civilizations. Our purpose is to observe, and when deemed appropriate, initiate contact with developing species. And you've determined that now is the appropriate time for humanity? Amelia asked. Correct. Your species has reached a critical juncture in its development. The choices you make in the coming years will determine whether you ascend to join the galactic community or remain isolated on your world. The implications of the custodian's words hung heavy in the air. Humanity's future among the stars hinged on what happened next. You mentioned a test, Amelia pressed. What exactly does this test entail? The custodian's form flickered again, its expression unreadable. The nature of the test is not predetermined. It will be shaped by your actions and decisions in the face of the knowledge and challenges we present. Your responses will be evaluated to assess your species' readiness for advanced interstellar relations. Jake, who had been listening intently, stepped forward. And if we fail this test, what happens then? The custodian turned its gaze to Jake, its eyes seeming to peer into his soul. Failure does not mean destruction, but it does mean isolation. If humanity is deemed unready, this vessel and all knowledge of the Valorian Collective will be removed. Your species will be left to continue its development alone, to be re-evaluated at a much later date. The stakes were clear. This wasn't just about scientific discovery anymore. It was about the very future of human civilization. Amelia took a deep breath, centering herself. How do we begin? The first phase of the test has already begun, the custodian replied. Your response to our presence, your ability to decode our language, and your approach to the unknown. All of these are being evaluated. The next phase involves a deeper exchange of knowledge. With a wave of its hand, the custodian projected a series of complex diagrams into the air. These represent advancements in various scientific fields: physics, medicine, energy production. Your task is to study and implement these advancements. Your success, and more importantly, how you choose to use this knowledge, will be a crucial part of our assessment. Amelia's scientific mind raced with the possibilities. The knowledge being offered could revolutionize every aspect of human life, but she also recognized the immense responsibility that came with such power. We'll need time to study this information, to understand its implications, Amelia said. The custodian nodded. Time is part of the test, Dr. Chen. How quickly can humanity adapt and grow? But be warned, it is not just about speed. The ethical application of knowledge is equally important. As the team began to pore over the wealth of information provided, Amelia couldn't shake a nagging feeling. Something about this whole situation felt off. The test seemed almost too perfectly designed to probe humanity's strengths and weaknesses. She voiced her concerns to Jake as they worked late into the night, analyzing the alien data. I can't put my finger on it, Jake, but something doesn't add up. Why now? Why give us this much power and knowledge all at once? Jake leaned back in his chair, rubbing his tired eyes. Maybe that's part of the test too. Seeing how we handle sudden advancements, if we can resist the temptation to misuse them. Amelia nodded slowly. You might be right, but I can't shake the feeling that there's more to this than the custodian is telling us. As the days turned into weeks, the research facility became a hive of innovation. The alien knowledge catalyzed breakthroughs in multiple fields: clean energy solutions, medical treatments for previously incurable diseases, and quantum computing advancements that boggled the mind. All became reality in a startlingly short time. But with these advancements came new challenges. Nations argued over the equitable distribution of the new technologies. Ethical debates raged over the implications of some of the medical breakthroughs. The world teetered on the brink of conflict, even as it stood on the cusp of a new golden age. Through it all, Amelia worked tirelessly, not just to understand the alien science, but to ensure its responsible implementation. She became a voice of reason in heated global debates, advocating for caution and ethical considerations in the face of rapid advancement. One morning, as Amelia prepared for another round of meetings with world leaders, the custodian appeared before her. Dr. Chen, your species' progress is unexpected, it said, its tone unreadable. Amelia felt a mixture of pride and apprehension. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It is neither. It is simply an observation. Your adaptability is remarkable, but so too is your propensity for conflict. You stand at a crossroads. Amelia nodded, understanding the weight of the custodian's words. We're doing our best to navigate these changes responsibly. It's not easy, but I believe we're on the right path. The custodian's form flickered, and for a moment, Amelia thought she saw something: doubt, concern, in its eyes. But before she could ponder it further, the custodian spoke again. There is more you must know, Dr. Chen. The full nature of the test, and the true history of the Valorians. Are you prepared to receive this knowledge? Amelia hesitated. Every instinct told her that whatever the custodian was about to reveal would change everything. But she had come too far to turn back now. I'm ready, she said, her voice steady. The custodian nodded, and suddenly the world around Amelia dissolved. She found herself floating in a vast starscape, surrounded by the history of the Valorian collective. She saw great civilizations rise and fall, watched as species reached for the stars, and either ascended to join the galactic community or fell into ruin. And through it all, she saw the Valorians, guiding, testing, shaping the destiny of countless worlds. But as the eons passed, Amelia noticed a change. The Valorians became more distant, more removed from the younger races. Their tests grew harsher, their judgments more severe. And then, shockingly, the Valorians themselves began to fade from the galactic stage. As the vision faded and Amelia found herself back in the research facility, the truth hit her like a physical blow. "They're gone, aren't they?" she whispered. "The Valorians. They're extinct." The custodian's form seemed to sag, as if bearing the weight of eons. "You are correct, Dr. Chen." The Valorian collective fell to a threat they could not overcome, their own complacency. They believed themselves to be the pinnacle of evolution, beyond the need for further growth. In their stagnation, they became vulnerable to a cosmic calamity they had not foreseen. Amelia's mind reeled with the implications. Then this test. It's not just about joining some galactic community. It's about succession, the custodian finished. The Valorians left behind sentinels like myself throughout the galaxy, tasked with finding species worthy of inheriting their legacy. Humanity is not just being tested for membership, Dr. Chen. You are being evaluated as potential guardians of the galaxy itself. The weight of this revelation was staggering. Humanity, barely able to manage its own planet, was being considered for a role of cosmic importance. "But why us?" Amelia asked. "Surely there are other, more advanced species out there." The custodian's form shimmered. "There are. But advancement alone is not the criteria. The Valorians' fall proved that. What is needed is a species with the potential for greatness, but also the humility to recognize its own limitations. A species that can learn, adapt, and grow. In all my eons of watching, humanity has shown a unique capacity for both brilliance and introspection." Amelia sat down heavily, her mind struggling to process everything she had learned. The fate of not just humanity, but potentially countless other species, rested on the outcome of this test. "What happens now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The custodian's expression was solemn. "Now, Dr. Chen, you face your greatest challenge. You must decide whether to share this knowledge with your fellow humans, and if so, how. The final phase of the test begins, not just of your scientific acumen or ethical standards, but of your wisdom in shepherding your entire species towards a destiny greater than you had ever imagined." As the custodian faded away, leaving Amelia alone with this earth-shattering knowledge, she knew that the real test was only just beginning. The choices she and humanity made in the coming days would echo across the stars for eons to come. The threat emerges. Amelia sat in her office, staring out at the bustling research facility. The weight of the custodian's revelations pressed heavily on her shoulders. How could she possibly convey the magnitude of what she'd learned to the rest of humanity? A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Jake entered, his face etched with concern. "Amelia, you've been in here for hours. What happened with the custodian?" She looked at her friend, seeing the worry in his eyes. Jake had been by her side through this entire journey, and if there was anyone she could trust with this information, it was him. "Sit down, Jake," she said softly. "What I'm about to tell you changes everything." Over the next hour, Amelia recounted her vision and the custodian's revelations. Jake listened in stunned silence, his expression shifting from disbelief to awe to fear. "My God, Amelia," he whispered when she finished. It's beyond anything we could have imagined. What are you going to do?" Amelia stood, pacing the room. "I don't know, Jake. How do you tell the world that we're not just being tested for membership in some galactic club, but for the role of cosmic guardians? That the fate of countless species might rest on our shoulders?" Jake nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "Whatever you decide, I'm with you. But Amelia, this isn't a decision you can make alone. The world deserves to know." She knew he was right, but the prospect of sharing this information terrified her. Would it unite humanity in purpose, or fracture them under the pressure? Before she could respond, Alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed, and panicked voices filled the corridors. "What now?" Amelia muttered, rushing out of her office with Jake close behind. They arrived at the main control room to find chaos. Screens flashed with warning signals, and technicians shouted over each other. "Report," Amelia commanded, her voice cutting through the din. Dr. Yuki Tanaka turned to her, her face pale. "Dr. Chen, we're detecting multiple objects entering the solar system at impossible speeds. They're heading straight for Earth." Amelia's blood ran cold. The custodian didn't mention anything about visitors. "Get me a visual, now." The main screen flickered to life, showing a real-time view from one of Earth's deep space telescopes. What Amelia saw made her gasp. A fleet of ships, sleek and predatory, was cutting through space towards their planet. "This can't be the Valorians," Jake murmured. "You said they were extinct." Amelia nodded, her mind racing. "Custodian," she called out. "We need you." The holographic form of the custodian materialized beside them, its expression grave. "I see them, Dr. Chen. This is unexpected." "Unexpected." Amelia's voice rose in disbelief. "You're supposed to be our guide in this test. What are those ships? Are they part of the evaluation?" The custodian's form flickered, its voice tinged with what sounded like uncertainty. "They are not part of any planned test. These ships, they are unknown to me." A chill ran down Amelia's spine. If these visitors were unknown even to the ancient AI, then humanity was truly in uncharted territory. "How long until they reach Earth?" she asked, turning to the technicians. "At their current speed, less than 72 hours, one of them replied, his voice shaking. Amelia took a deep breath, steeling herself. The time for hesitation was over. Alert every world leader. "We need a global conference immediately, and prepare the alien tech we've reverse-engineered. We might need it sooner than we thought." As the facility erupted into frenzied activity, Amelia pulled Jake and the custodian aside. "We need answers, and we need them now." "Custodian, is there anything in your databanks about other spacefaring races? Potential threats the Valorians might have faced?" The custodian's form shimmered as it processed the request. "There are records of various species the Valorians encountered, but none that matched the configuration of these ships. However," it paused, its eyes flickering with what looked like concern. "There were rumors, in the final days of the collective, of a shadowy force moving through the galaxy, a species that preyed on civilizations at the cusp of interstellar travel." Jake's eyes widened. "Like vultures, waiting for creatures to evolve just enough to be worth hunting." Amelia nodded grimly. "And we just announced our presence to the galaxy. We might as well have rung the dinner bell." The next 48 hours were a whirlwind of activity. World leaders convened in an emergency session. Militaries around the globe were put on high alert, and every available scientist was tasked with adapting the alien technology for Earth's defense. Amelia found herself at the center of it all, coordinating efforts and making decisions that would shape humanity's response to this unprecedented threat. The knowledge and advancements they had gained from the Valorian ship were now their best hope for survival. As the deadline approached, Amelia stood before a hastily assembled council of world leaders, scientists, and military commanders. The atmosphere was tense, fear and determination mingling in equal measure. "Ladies and gentlemen," Amelia began, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her heart. "In less than 24 hours, we will face a threat unlike any in human history. These visitors, whoever they are, have technology far beyond our own, but we are not defenseless." She gestured to a series of holographic displays, showcasing the adaptations they had made to Earth's defenses using the Valorian knowledge. "We've upgraded our satellite networks with Valorian shielding technology. Our major cities are now protected by energy fields that should withstand significant assault. And thanks to the breakthroughs in quantum entanglement communication, We have a global defense network that can react in real time to any threat." Murmurs of approval rippled through the assembled leaders, but Amelia could still see the fear in their eyes. "However," she continued, her tone grave, "we must be prepared for the possibility that this will not be enough. The custodian has provided us with one last piece of Valorian technology, a quantum beacon. If activated, it will send a distress signal through subspace, potentially attracting the attention of other advanced civilizations." The room erupted in debate. Some argued for immediate activation of the beacon, while others feared it might attract even more dangerous attention. Amelia raised her hand for silence. "I understand your concerns, but we must remember, this is still a test. The custodian has made it clear that how we handle this crisis will be the ultimate measure of our worthiness to join the galactic community, to potentially become its guardians." She took a deep breath, knowing her next words would be controversial. "I propose that we hold off on activating the beacon. Let us face this threat with our own strength, our own ingenuity. Let us prove to ourselves and to the cosmos that humanity is ready for its place among the stars." The debate raged for hours, but in the end, Amelia's proposal was accepted. Earth would face this threat alone, united in purpose for perhaps the first time in its history. As the council dispersed to make final preparations, Jake approached Amelia. "That was quite a speech," he said, a mix of admiration and concern in his voice. "But Amelia, are you sure about this? We're risking everything on our ability to fend off an unknown threat." Amelia nodded, her expression resolute. "I know, Jake, but think about it. If we can't handle this on our own, how can we possibly be ready for the role the Valorians want us to take? This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about proving our worth, not just to some alien judges, but to ourselves." Jake squeezed her shoulder supportively. "Well, when you put it that way, I guess we better make sure we win, huh?" As the hours ticked down, Earth prepared for battle. Military forces were mobilized, civilians in major cities were moved to shelters, and every available piece of technology was primed for defense. Amelia stood in the control room of the research facility, now converted into Earth's primary defense coordination center. Screens displayed real-time data from around the globe and the approaching fleet. "They're entering the outer atmosphere," a technician announced, his voice tense. Amelia watched as the alien ships breached Earth's upper atmosphere, their sleek forms cutting through the air with terrifying grace. The first tests of Earth's defenses were about to begin. "Activate the shields," she ordered. Around the globe, shimmering energy fields sprang to life, enveloping cities in protective bubbles. The alien ships approached, their weapons charging with ominous energy. The first volley struck the shields over New York. The energy field flickered but held, dispersing the alien weapons' power harmlessly into the atmosphere. A cheer went up in the control room, but Amelia remained focused. This was only the beginning. The battle raged across the globe. Earth's adapted weapons struck back, managing to damage several of the alien ships. But the invaders' technology was formidable, and slowly but surely, they began to overwhelm Earth's defenses. "Shield over London is failing," someone shouted. "Reroute power from the secondary grid," Amelia commanded. "We need to hold them off." Hours passed, and the situation grew increasingly dire. More and more shields fell, and reports of alien forces landing in various locations began to pour in. Amelia felt the weight of her decision pressing down on her. Had she doomed humanity by refusing to call for help? Just as despair began to set in, a technician called out, "Dr. Chen, we're detecting a massive energy surge from the Valorian ship." All eyes turned to the screens showing the submerged alien vessel. It was glowing with an intensity that outshone the sun, pulsing with power. Suddenly, the custodian appeared, its form more solid and defined than ever before. "Dr. Chen," it said, its voice resonating with newfound strength, "you have proven yourselves worthy. The final test is complete." Before Amelia could respond, Beams of energy shot out from the Valorian ship, striking each of the invading vessels. The alien ships froze in midair, caught in some kind of stasis field. "What's happening?" Amelia asked, her voice a mix of awe and confusion. The custodian's expression was solemn but tinged with what looked like pride. "The invasion was the final part of the test, Dr. Chen. These aliens are constructs, created to evaluate your species' response to a true cosmic threat. Your decision to face this challenge without calling for aid, your unity in the face of overwhelming odds, you have exceeded all expectations." Amelia's mind reeled with the implications. So, all of this, the battle, the deaths, it was all part of the test. The custodian nodded gravely. "The threat was real, Dr. Chen. The danger was genuine, but yes, it was orchestrated to push humanity to its limits, to see if you were truly ready for the role that awaits you." As the realization of what had transpired swept through the control room, a mix of emotions, relief, anger, disbelief, washed over the assembled humans. Amelia took a deep breath, centering herself. "And now, what happens next?" The custodian's form began to glow, its voice taking on a resonance that seemed to echo through time itself. "Now, Dr. Chen, now humanity takes its place among the stars. The knowledge of the Valorians is yours. The responsibility of guardianship is yours. The galaxy awaits." As the glow from the custodian intensified, bathing the earth in a soft, welcoming light, Amelia realized that this was not an ending, but a beginning. Humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged stronger, more united, ready to embrace a destiny beyond their wildest dreams. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now beckoned, and humanity, led by pioneers like Amelia, was ready to answer the call. Humanity unites. The days following the revelation of the final test were a whirlwind of emotion and activity. As news spread across the globe that the alien invasion had been a test, albeit a deadly serious one, reactions ranged from relief to outrage. Amelia found herself at the center of a storm of questions, accusations, and demands for answers. Standing before the United Nations General Assembly once again, Amelia took a deep breath. The room was tense, filled with leaders from every nation, all eyes fixed on her. "Distinguished delegates, citizens of Earth," she began, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. "I understand the shock and anger many of you are feeling. The test we faced was cruel in its realism, and the losses we suffered were all too real. But we must not lose sight of what we have achieved and what lies before us." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We have been offered a place among the stars, a role as guardians of the galaxy. This is not just an honor, it is a profound responsibility, and we must decide, as one species, whether we are ready to accept it." The assembly erupted in a cacophony of voices. Some called for immediate acceptance of the role, eager to embrace the advanced knowledge and technology it would bring. Others urged caution, wary of the responsibilities and potential dangers that came with such a position. Amelia raised her hand for silence. "I propose that we take time, 1 month, to fully consider the implications of this decision. During this time, I and my team will work to disseminate the knowledge given to us by the Valorians. We will share the advancements in technology, medicine, and science that we have gained. Let us use this time to prove to ourselves that we can use this knowledge wisely, that we can come together as a species to build a better world." Her proposal was met with a mix of approval and skepticism, but in the end, it was accepted. The next month would determine humanity's readiness for its cosmic role. As Amelia left the podium, she was met by Jake. "Nice speech," he said, a hint of a smile on his tired face. "But how exactly are we going to share all that knowledge in just a month?" Amelia's eyes gleamed with determination. "We're going to need help. A lot of it." Over the next few weeks, Amelia and her team worked tirelessly to create a global network of scientists, engineers, and thinkers. The Valorian knowledge was vast and complex, covering fields from quantum physics to sociology, from advanced propulsion systems to ethical frameworks for interspecies governance. Universities around the world became hubs of learning and innovation. The internet buzzed with new ideas and discoveries as the Valorian knowledge was gradually released to the public. It was a renaissance of human thought and creativity, spurred by the tantalizing glimpses of what was possible. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. As advanced technologies became available, there were those who sought to use them for personal gain or destructive purposes. Amelia found herself working closely with global law enforcement agencies to prevent the misuse of the new knowledge. One evening, as Amelia pored over reports of a thwarted attempt to weaponize a Valorian energy source, Jake entered her office, concern etched on his face. "Amelia, you need to see this," he said, handing her a tablet. The screen showed footage of protests erupting in cities around the world. People were demanding immediate disclosure of all Valorian knowledge, accusing governments of hoarding the information. Amelia sighed heavily. "We're trying to be responsible, to make sure the knowledge is used safely, but I understand their frustration." Jake nodded. "It's not just that. There's a growing movement questioning whether we should accept the guardian role at all. They're saying it's too much responsibility, that we're not ready." Amelia leaned back in her chair, the weight of the situation pressing down on her. "Maybe they're right, Jake. Look at how we're struggling with just this small taste of advanced knowledge. Are we really ready to be guardians of the galaxy?" Jake was quiet for a moment, then spoke softly. "You know, when I was a kid, I always dreamed of exploring the stars. It seemed impossible then. But now we have a chance to not just explore, but to protect, to guide. Isn't that worth the struggle?" His words resonated with Amelia, reminding her of why she had become a scientist in the first place: the desire to explore, to understand, to push the boundaries of human knowledge. She stood up, a new resolve filling her. "You're right, Jake. We can't let fear hold us back. But we need to address these concerns head-on. It's time to be more transparent." Over the next few days, Amelia initiated a series of global town halls, broadcast live around the world. She and her team answered questions, addressed concerns, and most importantly, listened to the fears and hopes of people from all walks of life. "We stand at a crossroads," Amelia said during one of these sessions. "The knowledge we've gained from the Valorians has the potential to solve many of our greatest challenges: climate change, disease, energy scarcity. But it also brings new responsibilities and risks. We must decide together whether we are ready to take this step." As the month drew to a close, something remarkable began to happen. The global discourse, which had been fraught with tension and disagreement, began to shift. People started to see the bigger picture, the opportunity not just for technological advancement, but for a fundamental shift in how humanity saw itself. Initiatives sprang up around the world, using the new knowledge to tackle long-standing problems. A team in Africa used Valorian atmospheric manipulation techniques to bring rain to drought-stricken areas. In South America, a group of engineers implemented advanced recycling technology, dramatically reducing plastic waste in the oceans. Across Europe and Asia, new forms of clean energy began to replace fossil fuels at an unprecedented rate. But perhaps most remarkably, long-standing conflicts began to cool as nations realized the pettiness of their disputes in the face of cosmic responsibilities. Border disagreements that had persisted for centuries were resolved through negotiation. Resources that had once been hoarded were shared, as the Valorian knowledge made scarcity a thing of the past. As the deadline approached, Amelia found herself once again before the United Nations. But this time, the atmosphere was different. There was an energy in the room, a sense of anticipation and unity that she had never felt before. "1 month ago," she began, "I stood before you and asked for time. Time for us to consider the enormous decision before us. Time to prove to ourselves that we could handle the responsibility being offered. I asked you to imagine what we could achieve if we came together as one species, united in purpose." She paused, looking out over the assembled leaders. "You have exceeded my wildest hopes. In just 1 month, we have made strides that would once have taken decades. We have begun to heal our planet, to solve problems that have plagued us for generations. But more than that, we have started to see ourselves not as nations or tribes, but as one human family." A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly. "The question before us now is this: are we ready to take our place among the stars? Are we prepared to accept the role of guardians, not just of our own world, but of countless others?" Amelia took a deep breath. "I believe we are. Not because we are perfect, we are far from it, but because we have shown that we can learn, that we can grow, that we can come together in the face of great challenges. Our very imperfection, our struggle to be better, is what makes us uniquely suited for this role." As she finished speaking, something unprecedented happened. One by one, the assembled leaders stood, joining in a standing ovation that seemed to shake the very foundations of the building. The vote that followed was unanimous. Humanity would accept the role of cosmic guardians. As Amelia left the UN building, she was met by a sea of cheering people. The streets were filled with celebrations, people from all walks of life coming together in a display of unity and hope. Jake found her in the crowd, pulling her into a tight hug. "We did it," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "We actually did it." Amelia nodded, tears in her eyes. "This is just the beginning, Jake. We have so much work ahead of us." As if in response to humanity's decision, the Valorian ship began to pulse with energy. The custodian appeared before Amelia, its form now solid and clear. "Humanity has chosen wisely," it said, its voice resonating with approval. "The full knowledge of the Valorians is now yours. Use it well, guardians of the galaxy." With a gesture, the custodian caused the ship to rise from the ocean, water cascading off its gleaming surface. It hovered above the Earth, a beacon of the new era humanity was entering. "This vessel," the custodian explained, "will be your first starship. It contains all the knowledge you will need to build a fleet, to explore the stars, and to take up your duties as guardians." Amelia stared in awe at the ship, her mind racing with the possibilities it represented. "What's our first step?" she asked. The custodian's expression became solemn. "Your first task will be to seek out other developing civilizations, to guide them as you have been guided. But be warned, there are real threats in the galaxy, predatory species that will test your resolve and your principles." Amelia nodded, understanding the weight of the responsibility they were taking on. "We'll be ready," she said, her voice filled with determination. As the custodian faded away, Amelia turned to Jake and the assembled crowd. "Well," she said, a smile spreading across her face, "who's ready to explore the stars?" The cheer that went up was deafening, a roar of excitement and anticipation that seemed to reach to the heavens themselves. In the days that followed, humanity began its preparations in earnest. The Valorian ship, now christened the Earth Star, became the center of a new space program unlike anything the world had seen before. Teams of scientists and engineers from every nation worked together to understand its systems and to begin construction of Earth's first fleet of starships. Universities around the world established new departments dedicated to xenobiology, astropolitics, and interstellar ethics. The brightest minds of the generation turned their attention to the stars, eager to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos. But even as humanity looked to the future, they did not forget the lessons of their past. The knowledge gained from the Valorians was used not just for space exploration, but to continue the work of healing the Earth and uplifting all of humanity. Poverty, once thought to be an unsolvable problem, began to disappear as advanced replication technology made scarcity a thing of the past. Diseases that had plagued humanity for millennia were cured. The environment, long damaged by human activity, started to recover at an astonishing rate thanks to new terraforming techniques. As the first anniversary of the Valorian revelation approached, Amelia stood on the bridge of the Earth Star, looking out at the vastness of space. The ship was in orbit around Earth, preparing for its maiden voyage beyond the solar system. Jake joined her at the viewport, his expression a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Hard to believe we're really doing this," he said softly. Amelia nodded, her eyes fixed on the stars. "A year ago, we could barely agree on how to manage our own planet. Now we're about to become guardians of the galaxy. It's terrifying and exhilarating all at once." As the countdown to launch began, Amelia felt a swell of pride and hope. Humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged stronger, more united, and ready to embrace a destiny beyond their wildest dreams. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now beckoned, and humanity, led by pioneers like Amelia and Jake, was ready to answer the call, to take their first steps into a larger universe, not just as explorers, but as protectors and guardians. As the Earth Star's engines hummed to life, preparing to carry them into the unknown, Amelia whispered, "Ad astra per aspera," to the stars through difficulties. It had been humanity's journey so far, and it would be their path forward into the cosmic frontier that awaited them. The final stand. 5 years had passed since humanity had taken its first steps into the galactic community. The Earth Star, once a solitary vessel, was now the flagship of a small but growing fleet. Humanity had begun to explore nearby star systems, establishing outposts, and making contact with other developing civilizations. Amelia, now Admiral Chen of the Earth Guardian Fleet, stood on the bridge of the Earth Star, gazing at the holographic display of the Orion Arm. Colored dots represented the various species they had encountered, some friendly, some wary, and a few outright hostile. Jake, her second in command and closest friend, approached with a concerned expression. "Amelia, we've received a distress signal from the Proxima Centauri outpost. It's not good." Amelia's heart sank. They had established the outpost as their first step into interstellar diplomacy, a meeting place for various species. "What's happened?" Jake's face was grim as he pulled up the message. The hologram showed a young officer, her face streaked with dirt and fear. "This is Lieutenant Sarah Vakarian of Proxima Outpost. We're under attack by an unknown species. They've destroyed half the station. Our defenses are failing. We need immediate assistance. Please, hurry." The message cut off abruptly, leaving an eerie silence on the bridge. Amelia's mind raced. This was the moment they had been preparing for, the true test of humanity's readiness to be guardians. "Alert all nearby ships. We're going to Proxima Centauri." As the Earth Star and its accompanying vessels prepared for the jump to faster-than-light travel, Amelia couldn't shake a feeling of dread. They had faced challenges before, but this felt different. This felt like the beginning of something bigger. The journey to Proxima Centauri took mere hours thanks to the Valorian drive technology. As they dropped out of FTL near the outpost, the scene that greeted them was one of chaos and destruction. The once pristine station was a wreck, large sections of it torn away and drifting in space. Surrounding it were ships unlike anything they had encountered before, sleek, black vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Life signs on the station?" Amelia asked, her voice tense. A technician responded, faint but present. "There are survivors, Admiral." Amelia nodded, her jaw set with determination. "Prepare rescue teams, and get me a channel to those ships." As the rescue operation began, Amelia attempted to communicate with the alien vessels. For long moments, there was no response. Then suddenly, a harsh, grating voice filled the bridge. "Humans, you are not welcome here. This sector belongs to the Void Collective. Leave now, or share the fate of this station." Amelia's eyes narrowed. "This is Admiral Amelia Chen of the Earth Guardian Fleet. We claim no territory here, but we will not abandon those in need of our help. Stand down and let us evacuate the survivors." The response was immediate and violent. The alien ships opened fire, their weapons tearing through space towards the Earth vessels. "Evasive maneuvers," Amelia shouted. "Return fire, but focus on protecting the rescue shuttles. The space around Proxima Centauri erupted into a furious battle. The Earth ships, despite their advanced technology, found themselves hard-pressed by the ferocity and strange capabilities of the Void Collective vessels. As the battle raged, Jake coordinated the rescue efforts. "We've got most of the survivors, but the station's structural integrity is failing. We need more time." Amelia gritted her teeth, watching as another of their ships took a heavy hit. They were outnumbered and outgunned. But they couldn't leave, not with lives still at stake. In that moment, Amelia made a decision that would change the course of the battle, and perhaps the future of humanity's role as guardians. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen. Initiate Protocol Omega." Protocol Omega was a last resort tactic they had developed but never used. It involved linking the Valorian drives of all their ships, creating a massive energy field that could be used as both a shield and a weapon. As the Earth ships moved into formation, energy began to arc between them, forming a dazzling web of light. The Void Collective ships, momentarily taken aback by this display, paused in their assault. Amelia took advantage of their hesitation. "This is your final warning. Stand down, or we will be forced to respond with full force." For a moment, it seemed like the Void Collective might reconsider. Then, with renewed fury, they attacked, throwing everything they had at the energy field surrounding the Earth ships. "Now," Amelia commanded. The linked Valorian drives pulsed, sending out a shockwave of energy that rippled through space. The Void Collective ships closest to the blast simply ceased to exist, while others spun out of control, their systems overloaded. In the aftermath of the pulse, an eerie silence fell over the battlefield. The remaining Void Collective ships, clearly damaged and disoriented, began to retreat. Amelia let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Status report. Jake, his face smeared with sweat and grime from helping with the rescue efforts, responded. "We've evacuated all survivors from the station. Our fleet has taken heavy damage, but no ships lost. The Void Collective is in full retreat." As the adrenaline of battle faded, the weight of what had just occurred settled over the bridge. They had faced their first true test as guardians and had emerged victorious, but at what cost? In the days that followed, as they tended to the wounded and began repairs, Amelia grappled with the implications of their encounter with the Void Collective. This wasn't just a random attack. It was a calculated move by a species that saw the galaxy as something to be conquered rather than protected. A week after the battle, Amelia called a meeting of the Earth Guardian Council, the governing body that had been established to oversee humanity's new role in the galaxy. The attack on Proxima Outpost was not an isolated incident. Amelia began, her voice grave. "We've received reports from other sectors of similar attacks by the Void Collective. They're systematic, brutal, and expanding rapidly." The council chamber erupted in worried murmurs. One of the members, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, spoke up. "What do we know about them? Why haven't we encountered them before?" Jake stepped forward, pulling up a holographic display. "From what we've pieced together, the Void Collective is a species that exists primarily in subspace. They've been dormant or hidden for millennia, but something has triggered their expansion." "Could it be us?" another council member asked. "Our presence in the galaxy?" Amelia nodded slowly. "It's possible. Our activities, our attempts to connect with other species, might have drawn their attention. But regardless of the reason, we now face a threat not just to ourselves, but to every developing species in the galaxy." The implications hung heavy in the air. Humanity had taken on the mantle of guardians, but were they ready for a threat of this magnitude? As if reading their thoughts, Amelia continued, her voice filled with determination. 5 years ago, we were given a choice: to remain on our world or to step out into the stars and take on the responsibility of guardians. We chose to be more than we were, to strive for something greater. Now we face our greatest challenge yet." She paused, looking each council member in the eye. I propose that we take the fight to the Void Collective, not just to defend ourselves, but to protect every species that can't protect themselves. This is why we were chosen. This is our duty as guardians." The debate that followed was intense. Some argued for a more defensive stance, focusing on protecting Earth and its immediate allies. Others supported Amelia's aggressive approach. In the end, a compromise was reached. Earth would lead a coalition of willing species to confront the Void Collective, while also bolstering defenses across known space. As the council dispersed, Jake approached Amelia. "You know this won't be easy. We'll be fighting an enemy we barely understand, possibly across dimensions we can't even perceive." Amelia nodded, her expression a mix of determination and concern. "I know, but we can't just sit back and watch as they destroy everything in their path. We accepted the role of guardians. Now it's time to live up to that responsibility." Over the next few months, Earth's diplomats worked tirelessly to form alliances with other species. Some, like the ethereal luminae and the silicon-based crystallites, eagerly joined the coalition. Others, still wary of the young human species, chose to remain neutral. Meanwhile, Earth's scientists and engineers worked around the clock to adapt Valorian technology for the coming conflict. They developed new sensors capable of detecting subspace incursions, weapons that could affect the Void Collective's strange physiology, and defenses against their reality warping attacks. As the Coalition fleet assembled in orbit around Earth, Amelia stood once again on the bridge of the Earth Star. The ship had been upgraded, its hull now shimmering with the latest in Valorian-inspired defenses. Around it floated vessels of various designs, a testament to the diverse alliance they had forged. Jake joined her at the viewport, his expression a mix of excitement and trepidation. "Quite a sight, isn't it? 5 years ago, we could barely reach our own moon. Now we're leading a multi-species armada to save the galaxy." Amelia smiled, though her eyes remained serious. "We've come a long way, but our greatest challenge lies ahead." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the ship. A communications officer called out, "Admiral, we're detecting massive subspace disturbances in the Sculptor Dwarf galaxy. It's the Void Collective. They're launching a full-scale invasion." Amelia's expression hardened. This was it, the moment that would define humanity's role as guardians of the galaxy. She turned to face the bridge crew, her voice ringing with authority. "Send word to all Coalition forces. The time has come. We move to engage the Void Collective and end this threat once and for all." As the fleet prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, Amelia felt the weight of countless lives, human and alien alike, resting on her shoulders. They were about to face an enemy that challenged not just their military might, but their very understanding of reality. Yet, as she gave the order to depart, Amelia felt a surge of pride and determination. Humanity had risen to every challenge thrown their way. They had united their own world and forged alliances across the stars. Now, they would prove once and for all that they were worthy of the title Guardians of the Galaxy. The Earthstar's engines hummed to life, prepared to carry them into the unknown. As the stars stretched into streaks of light around them, Amelia whispered the words that had become humanity's motto in this new age. Ad astra per aspera, through hardships to the stars. The battle for the galaxy had begun, and humanity was ready to make its final stand.